I
You know
think
what I mean?
I think he'd get into almost every side. I feel like he struggled to get into Chelsea over Jorginho and Kante. I think he definitely
Bro,
struggled.
like I don't care that Jorginho has won the Euros. Jorginho could not like he couldn't wear Declan Rice's boots. Bro. He couldn't. But talking of the top four, there's only one team to talk about in the top four, boys.
Yeah, Chelsea did put in an incredible performance.
I mean, if you talk Chelsea, we can talk Chelsea, man. That's fine. You know, we'll talk Chelsea right now.
We'll talk about your boys. Go on.
Mate, who watched the game then? Who watched the game then?
I watched the game. Do you know what, Jay? I'm going to speak about West Ham because I don't really speak about West Ham that much.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this. Me and Coco were actually speaking before Jay arrived earlier. We were speaking about Declan Rice. And it was the level his game has come on in such a short amount of time. And I used to watch him, and when he'd be playing passes, there was almost a bit of, should I be making that pass? And now there is this level of maturity about his performances. When he's playing a pass, he knows that's the pass to make. When he's taking a shot, he knows it's the right decision. He's doing the best things for the team. And sitting in front of that back four, like we were saying, yeah, Man United need a holding midfielder, but he isn't like a holding midfielder because we saw in his goal at the weekend, he doesn't deserve to be sat in front of a back four. He deserves to be further up the field. And I feel like his performances are just getting better week after week. He's taking games by the scruff of the neck. When West Ham go and have a shaky minute or two, he's the one to kind of get those players back together. And that's the sort of person you want to hold the armband. And we were speaking about this about Man United when we lost against Liverpool. It's like, who's going to be the guy to take the game by the scruff of the neck? And this is a guy who is very much still young in his career in football. He's got so many years ahead of him. And I'm excited for the future. Taking it away of being a Man United fan, I'm a football fan more than anything. And if you can't look at a player like Declan Rice and be excited for what he can bring to not just his team, but to the England setup, you're deluded, man. He's a player that I think is going to have a very, very bright future ahead of him, and that's becoming more and more evident week after week.
My man is 22 years old, 140 Premier League appearances, captains the side, 3 points clear in the top four at this moment in time. He starts for England. Declan Rice doesn't need to prove anything. When he's away, I feel like a lot of people woke up to Declan Rice during the summer because he was performing really highly in the Euros. And he was one of the mainstays in that entire tournament, even performed really well in the final despite us losing on penalties. Roll back the tape, Quakes. I've been flying the flag for Declan Rice since we started this podcast, and I've been a massive fan of him for years. I've seen these things in him. Any West Ham fan has seen him performing this way, even when he scored his first goal against Arsenal, years ago. I love Declan Rice, man. I feel like he's an absolute gem of a player. If you go back to the start of this podcast, you'll see me saying I think he's like the best CDM in the fucking league. But I would actually move that on now to I think he's one of the best midfielders in this league in general, not just in a holding sense. I feel like the way he can pick up a ball, dictate play, transition play, bringing up other players to the game, and like you say, take the game by the scruff of the neck. And then now, he's starting to pop up with a goal here and there. He scored a few in Europe. He scored one in the league now. It was an important goal for us as well because we were drawing 1-1 at the time. Declan Rice is a baller, certified baller. There's a reason he starts for England. Future England captain, easy. And I just hope West Ham can hold on to him as long as possible.
Yeah, well, like you say. People kind of woke up to Declan Rice in the summer, and that's just natural because of an international tournament. There's more eyes on it. But like what you were saying, Del, like there's courage behind his conviction. Like he's making passes, he's taking on shots, he's taking the ball in tight spaces and just doing things that a confident midfielder should do. And like you say, Jay, he's not just a CDM. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He can do a lot, and it's good to see him get on the score sheet on the weekend against Villa, because I feel like for him to take that next step, he needs to add goals and assists to his game. Like I say, he's got a couple in the Europa League, he's got one in the league now, and if he can go and get to double figures in terms of goals, he will become the complete midfielder, because everything else about his game is spot on. It's perfect. And more than anything with Declan Rice is how he connects with fans, not just fans of West Ham, but fans of other teams as well. You can kind of see that when you see footballers in interviews, normally they are robotic as a result of what the system is, and as a result because they get called out on a lot of things and they have to kind of be on their P's and Q's all the time. But Declan Rice manages to inject his personality as well as just keeping or towing that line. So he's a player that everybody can kind of relate to. He's almost everybody's like second favourite player or everybody's favourite player that doesn't play for their team just because of how infectious his personality is. And now his game's at a point where he can do almost everything on the pitch. He can take the ball from deep in his own half and dribble it out. He can make all the passes. We saw the pass for Ben Johnson for the first goal, which is an incredible assist. Just outside the foot, nonchalantly. And like you say, he knows what he's doing. He backs himself to make those kind of passes. So, yeah, he's a very, very exciting player. And if you're a West Ham fan, you must absolutely love him because he can do everything. He's like your Captain Marvel. And he's only got levels to go up to, so he's very, very promising, and I think we're going to see him as a staple in the England team and whatever team goes on to after West Ham for years to come.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I don't just love Declan Rice, I love everyone in this squad. I absolutely love this West Ham side. I think easily it's the best West Ham side I've ever seen. Maybe not the best. You know what? It is. I was going to say the Payet side might be better to watch, but that was just one player. I feel like West Ham right now are playing top level football. We're so organised off the ball, and I love every player in that squad. Not just for what they do on the pitch, but the way they hold themselves off the pitch. You see the relationships between Kurt Zouma and Declan Rice. You see Thomas Soucek getting involved with the fans. Like, it's just an incredible time to be a West Ham fan. We are top dons. We're top dons right now. I won't have anything else said about West Ham. But I suppose, like you were saying, if he adds goals and assists into his game, he'll be the complete midfielder. I think he's there already. I think if he goes to a top side, he's not going to be there to score the big goals. I feel like he is always going to be played slightly back just so he can transition plays. If he goes to a Liverpool, he's not going to be in that side to score the goals. If he goes to Chelsea, he's not going to be there to score goals. Likewise for Man United. I think he's a complete midfielder, and I think he could play at any team in Europe and transform their side. I think he could go to Chelsea and
transform us.
No, not necessarily transform you, because you have one of the deepest squads in world football, but I do still feel like he would comfortably get in your side. Squad rotation, obviously, there'll be games where he'll be on the bench, but I would put him starting in any Premier League side. And
really?
That's inclusive of Man City. I really do think that. I think he's so good. I know people are saying I'm biased, but I don't see a CDM in the league better than him, other than maybe Kante, because Kante's been there and done it. You know what I mean?
I think he'd get into almost every side. I feel like he struggled to get into Chelsea over Jorginho and Kante. I think he definitely should.
Bro, like I don't care that Jorginho has won the Euros. Jorginho could not like, he couldn't wear Declan Rice's boots. Bro. He couldn't. Why are you laughing? This is a guy that was nearly out of your club a year ago.
Future Ballon d'Or winner Jorginho couldn't lace Declan Rice's boots. Come on, like, there's hyperbole there. Declan Rice is an amazing player. He's an incredible player. He's got levels to get to, and I don't think he's on Jorginho's level.
Jorginho got Boston in the Euro final.
He just won the Euros and he won the Champions League. And my man, Declan Rice getting into Chelsea over Jorginho.
He would. I do think he would.
We'll put a poll out.
Yeah.
I think that'll be good. We'll see what the viewers and listeners will say.
All right. Well, okay. So obviously, granted, you would want him at your club anyway. So, burning question: how much would you pay for Declan Rice? There was the recent interview with David Moyes saying, 100 million is cheap. Again, that might be hyperbole. But what do you pay? I mean, Man United are in burning need of a player like Declan Rice. Does Declan Rice go there? I don't think he wants to go there and play for Ollie. How about you, Quakes? What would you pay?
I would. He's got a year less left on his contract than this summer. How long has he got left in his contract? That matters a lot. If you pull that up now,
do you know what the rumours like today are that we're trying to get him on a huge contract of like 400k a week.
Well, that's similar to what Aston Villa did with Jack Grealish. He signed a new contract with a release clause, got a bumper kind of upgrade in terms of his salary, but with the understanding that he could leave the team humming for 100 million. I think that's what they'll probably do for Declan Rice as well. I feel like if you're setting a release clause as West Ham, I think you put it in at 100 million. Yeah.
He's at the club until 2024, June 30th, and the club have an option of a further year.
I would probably test the market at about 80, 90 mil.
Yeah,
80, 90
I'd
mil.
probably go around the same.
Yeah,
and I think the reason for that is if he had 3-4 years left on that contract, I wouldn't be surprised to that fee being near double. Yeah. And the reason for that is we're speaking about a player who has proven himself on the big stage. Now he's proven himself for England, that he can play with the top players and not look out of place. And that's, I think, is a big thing about Declan Rice and about that whole West Ham team. Is just like there isn't one star. You can't pick one player in that West Ham team and say you are the one head and shoulders above everyone else. There isn't that. There is that level field there, and it just feels like every single person there has a role to play and a role to and no one's there just to be there. So do you know what? Exciting couple of years ahead for West Ham. Exciting couple of years. If they hold on to the backbone of that team, they could be battling for those European places for a few years to come.
And do you know what? It really depends on what he's motivated by. Like, I mean, if a bid of 80 to 90 million comes in, it will be down to the board and their resolve of how much they're going to really hold out for. I can't see at this moment in time, if in Dreamland, if West Ham win the Europa or finish anywhere near the top 4 this year, I don't think West Ham will be in a position where they have to sell Declan Rice. I feel like right now, it's all well and good saying, he can go to Chelsea and do this, or he can go to Man United and do that. But, if we finish in the top 4, we'll be in the Champions League next year. Mark Noble will be retiring. It's pretty much already certain he'll be the West Ham captain. He's absolutely loved by the fans. He loves the club clearly as well, has a really good dynamic, plays good football week in, week out. Like, I don't see a reason why we would sell him, if I'm honest, especially if we got him in contract until 2024. So yeah, that's me being maybe hopeful. But if we get Champions League football, what if he has ambitions to play at the highest level, we'll be there. And surely captaining a side at that level would be, beneficial.
Yeah, no, definitely. If West Ham get Champions League football, so obviously it's big if, but if you do, then there's not really much of a chance of you selling Declan Rice in the summer.
I do think I think the 4th space is there up for grabs. I feel like for us, I feel like we're an unlikely candidate to get there purely because, our squad, like many other squads in the Premier, is kind of determined on keeping players fit. So far, we've been quite fortunate, and we are competing on multiple fronts. But if we don't finish in the top 4, but we go far in the Europa, or we haven't even addressed it, but we turned Man United over in the Cup, then Man City in the Cup, and now we're playing Tottenham. So there's a chance we can go far in the Carabao as well. So I can't see a reason as to why Declan Rice would want to leave right now. If we were fighting a relegation battle, I'd understand. But we're not. We're playing high quality football. West Ham are a lot of people's second favourite team right now because there's very much a romance around the club. There's almost like a unity when you watch West Ham play. All the players love each other. Even the players that are on the bench are celebrating. There's very much like a family like environment, and people like seeing underdogs do well. So would Declan Rice want to leave that? Who knows?
Sorry, bro, go on.
I was going to say, I feel, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Chelsea fan, maybe I am. I feel like if Chelsea put in a serious pursuit for Declan Rice, I think they're the only club that would be able to convince him to leave West Ham. If Thomas Tuchel said you're guaranteed a place in my starting lineup and you're going to be the number 6 that we build our midfield around, then I feel like Declan Rice, it'd be almost impossible for him to say no. Growing up a Chelsea fan, obviously came through the academy, it would be like a redemption story for him. Best mates with Mason Mount, we all know the story. I feel like he might survey the landscape and look at Manchester United right now and might not be enamoured by what's going on there. They haven't got a manager that's probably going to be there next season. You look at City and they're very much a team in transition in terms of the way they play the centre midfielders, the way they rotate the centre midfielders. You can't really guarantee first team football at City in midfield. And Liverpool's just got a different type of model. Liverpool aren't paying 100 million for Declan Rice.
And I must admit though, if I was to see him go anywhere, like I mean, there is the romance between obviously returning to his boyhood club, the Mason Mount Declan Rice thing. You don't have to be a fan of football to just find those two infectious. But I would love to see him at Liverpool. I think he would just be incredible in that Klopp side. Yeah, I would see him somewhat as a successor to like Jordan Henderson. And I know Jordan Henderson is performing really well at the moment. But I feel like he could do that role maybe a little bit more. Plus a little bit more. But again, I'm not trying to slander Jordan Henderson right now. But yeah, you're right, man. It's I feel like Chelsea are the team that could really test the resolve of West Ham, and it just depends if Declan Rice is motivated by money. You wouldn't blame him if Chelsea come around and say if they're paying how much they're paying Callum Hudson-Odoi. Do you know what I mean?
120 grand a week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that our highest paid player in the West Ham squad is 120 grand a week on Yarmolenko. So Chelsea could afford to throw the kitchen sink at Declan Rice really, and it probably not dent the bank account too much. So it just depends how much he's motivated by money.